This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We begin in Jamaica, where Hurricane Melissa roared ashore today as a powerful Category 5 storm, packing winds of almost 300 kilometers per hour and bringing with it almost a meter of rain. It is the worst hurricane to hit the island nation in recorded history. Flooding, power outages, and several deaths were reported even before the hurricane made landfall, intensifying as it approached. Now, people living on the island are now dealing with the impact of the strongest hurricane to hit in more than 170 years, while those here in Winnipeg are trying to make sure their loved ones back home are okay. The CBC's Felicia Adam brings us local reaction.
Winds ripped the roof off of a hospital. This is what it looked like as Hurricane Melissa sliced its way through Jamaica. The Category 5 storm brought heavy rain and flooded streets. It's those images weighing heavy on restaurant owners Kadian and Anthony Nelson. Both have family back in Jamaica.
I'm checking in to see how the storm is going.
Okay, the storm is going. It's here in St. Catherine.
Anthony has been making sure his siblings are okay throughout the day.
The breeze is it's very heavy though.
The wind.
You have to be careful, like the trees.
That's how the sky look very black.
Dark, yeah.
His sisters stayed in touch with family, sending videos showing what it was like.
I literally have a pool in my yard, a big pool.
At this moment, they're very scared, especially for my sister, because everybody, it does what's going to happen. Your house going to get destroyed, what going to last.
There's no Western Union open for us abroad to send some money for them to buy food to get prepared.
Winnipegger Robert Collins was nailing up plywood, bracing for impact this morning. He's in Jamaica, taking care of his sick sister and elderly mother. By the afternoon, there was no power.
It's really bad. We've sustained some damage to the house now. You can hear outside banging. It's an awning pipe that is swinging wildly that was anchored up, but the wind managed to get under it. It's quite like a scene out of Final Destination.
Shamar Barnes is the head of the Jamaican Association of Manitoba. He's working with the High Commissioner of Jamaica to send relief.
There are over 6,000 people in shelters, and they are anticipating that number is going to climb drastically by tonight. And so it's looking at shelter space items, sanitary items, infant care, clothing.
Barnes will be collecting donations online and in person. Felicia Adam, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The Attorney General of Canada was in Winnipeg today, highlighting proposed changes to the bail system to protect first responders. This comes a week after the federal government announced 80 new clauses to change bail and sentencing. One will make first responders like firefighters and paramedics a protected class. Sean Fraser says that will lead to harsher sentences for those who commit crimes against them while on duty.
We're going to count on people to keep our community safe. The very least we can do is to ensure that the law returns the favor. People who are subjected to assaults when they're trying to save lives, when they're trying to fight fires, do not deserve to be seeing people who may assault them treated with impunity by the criminal justice system.
United Firefighters of Winnipeg President Nick Casper says his members have faced 100 reported assaults in 2025 alone. He hopes the proposed changes will act as a deterrent. To the Manitoba Legislature now, where the Progressive Conservatives are pushing for changes to the NDP's plan for a new detox centre. The CBC's Bryce Hoy is in studio now to tell us more. So Bryce, walk us through what's on the table and what changes the PCs are asking for.
Riley, the NDP wants to pass this Intoxicated Persons Detention Act. Now, it would extend how long you could keep a highly intoxicated person detained. Right now, the limit is 24 hours, but that would expand to 72 hours. They also want to open this new detox center at 190 Disraeli Freeway as early as this weekend. But these amendments tabled today by the PCs could complicate that timeline. For one, the PC's amendments would restrict operating the center within 500 meters of schools, childcare centers, and overdose prevention sites. Now, the Tories also want an annual report with data on who is using the 72-hour detox center and what services they were offered. Official opposition leader Abi Khan says the PCs support extending the limit, but he says the community raised valid concerns at a meeting last week.
Watch the committee, people that were really in favor of Bill 48 had concerns. People that were not in favor of Bill 48 had concerns. We've brought those all forward in a way for this Premier and Minister to listen to Manitobans.
Addictions Minister Bernadette Smith responded. In a statement, she said, the Protective Care Centre is about protecting people and the public. Smith still hopes to open the centre by this Saturday.
So, Bryce, the NDP also want to pass another bill. They say it could act as a safeguard if future governments want to invoke the notwithstanding clause. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's right, Riley. This month, the NDP tabled a bill. The Premier said it was in response to other provincial governments, Quebec, Saskatchewan, Alberta, all have invoked this Section 33 clause for different reasons. Now, Wab Kinew says those governments are misusing the notwithstanding clause to trample on the rights of vulnerable groups like the trans community or religious minorities. Now, yesterday, the Alberta government announced it would invoke it to force striking teachers in that province back to work. Kinew spoke about that today.
What expectation is there to actually bargain in good faith if all of a sudden you can just slap Section 33 down and get whatever you want? That's not what this country is based on. That's right. This country is based on one person, one vote. This country is based on equal treatment before the law. This country is based on fair dealing from your government.
The NDP bill would make it so that if a future government in Manitoba tried to invoke the clause, an appeals court judge would get to weigh in. Riley.
All right, thank you, Bryce. CBC's Bryce Hoy. All right, time for our first check on our forecast, and it was nice to see a bit of sunshine back here in the Red River Valley after a bit of a wet day yesterday. Darius Madavi is joining us with our weather tonight.
Thanks, Riley. Well, we've had some moisture coming up into Manitoba. It has tapered off now at this point, but the southeastern parts of the province did get some rain earlier today. Let's zoom in here. The rain there that we saw really just confined to that small corner of the province today, although we have had a wet day or two before this, to say the least, in parts of Manitoba. First big rainstorm of the season, it's been said. Now, I know we only have radar coverage for the southern parts of Manitoba, but this is actually really the only place where we saw rain today, other than those overnight hours. If we switch to the model data, you can see that, not really anything coming up here earlier today, really just confined to the southeastern parts of the province. In terms of tomorrow for Winnipeg, what we're looking at is a pretty clear overnight period, but chilly, -2, a little bit warmer than seasonal, but not much. A clear day tomorrow, and then a little bit of cloud starts to move in late morning into the afternoon, but overall a very pleasant day. Riley?
All right, thank you, Darius. Winnipeg water and sewer rates are going up again, but not by as much as once feared. If approved by council, a typical household can expect to pay $44 more next year and $68 more in 2027. Earlier this year, city staff warned the increases could be hundreds of dollars more, but Mayor Scott Gillingham says new funding from the feds and province for the North End sewage treatment plant lowered the city's share of the costs.
Winnipeg's new long-term financial strategy for the North End Water Pollution Control Centre replaces the steep rate hikes that were once projected with small, steady increases that keep life affordable for Winnipeggers while building the new state-of-the-art water treatment facility.
The city also plans to pay back $500 million for the new plant over 50 years, lowering the annual cost to ratepayers. A new proposal tonight from Alberta mining company CO Silica. The company has applied for a new environmental license seeking to drill fewer wells and extract less sand from below the surface of southeastern Manitoba. Its initial application was rejected by the province in 2024. It came after concerns about the effects of sand mining on subsurface water quality. CO Silica has said the new application will address these concerns. All right, still ahead for us tonight, race to rebuild. After a devastating wildfire season on the prairies, communities are slowly recovering ahead of winter. We will visit a community just across the Manitoba-Saskatchewan border near Flin Flon to see how recovery is going there. That story and more when we come back. Stay with us. Well, communities across the prairies are slowly recovering after a devastating wildfire season. In Saskatchewan, just across the Manitoba border near Flin Flon, the village of Denare Beach lost 230 homes to the flames. Helena Mahalik now with the challenges of rebuilding a town from scratch.
Brooke Kindle watches her children play in the empty lot that used to be their family home. Her house, like over 200 others in Denare Beach, lost to the flames of this year's unprecedented wildfire season. Kindle was pregnant when she evacuated from the community. Now she's come back as a family of 5, with everyone squeezed into a 1-bedroom cabin.
It's honestly a really big upgrade from living in the camper. We're happy, we're cozy.
It was nearly 5 months ago that parts of this town were leveled, a wasteland of ash and debris. Now, after a massive community effort to clear the rubble, some families are ready to move on, but others are still worried about what next summer could bring.
So we're just trying to figure out as a town, how can we incentivize people to come back here? People are obviously scared about another wildfire happening.
On a reserve on the south side of Denare Beach, one of 8 Peter Ballantine Cree Nation communities, crews are hard at work trying to get structures up before the snow flies, while keeping future wildfire seasons in mind with some of the building materials.
It's a composite concrete. It's lighter than concrete, but it's fire resistant.
But the chief says the community needs more firefighting equipment to ensure history doesn't repeat itself. At the beginning of October, the province moved in more than 30 mobile trailers up to a nearby town as temporary shelter. This couple, whose wedding was canceled due to the evacuation, is waiting for their ready-to-move home to be brought in.
The more structures go up, the more cleanup gets done, and we will be all way tougher and way more close-knit.
Amid the grief and the loss, people here in Denare Beach are rebuilding, but want reassurance this won't happen again. They're calling on the government of Saskatchewan to invest in more fire mitigation resources. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Denare Beach, Saskatchewan.
Candy corn might be in season now, but a Winnipeg bakery is already dreaming of gingerbread. Oma's Bake Shop on Henderson Highway recently filled a special Christmas order for a Hollywood Santa, and it's not the first time. Shanley Vidal has more on how those gingerbread cookies came to be involved in the film Violent Night and its sequel.
Laura Bjornsson didn't know that her bakery's gingerbread cookies would be involved with the film Violent Night, let alone its sequel.
I thought it was very fun to watch such a gory take on a Santa Claus movie. Where I grew up, it's where they were filming it, so that's how I knew about the movie. And then once we got the second order for gingerbread cookies at a weird time of the year, we kind of pieced it together, and then we found out that our cookie was on the Violent Night 1 poster. So that was very exciting.
Oma's Bake Shop has been operating in Winnipeg's North Kildonan neighborhood for more than 60 years. That's how it came to the attention of a particular production service company.
Well, the woman that ordered it grew up around here, and so she knows Alma's, and she's been coming here for a long time, so she was happy to support local and ask us to make this order for her. I was browsing Blue Amber's production website, and I saw the different posters that they had done for Violent Night 1, and I saw our cookie on one of them. I was surprised. I had to do a double take to see, was that the one I decorated? But yeah, I was very excited about that.
That poster for the Christmas action horror comedy shows actor David Harbour as a slightly blood-stained jolly old Saint Nick biting the head off one of the gingerbread cookies.
For the first movie, I believe they ordered a dozen of the gingerbread men and a dozen gingerbread women. And we've been making them for a very long time, and they've got a perfect blend of spices in them that make them extra delicious for Christmas time.
This time around, it was another 24 of each, along with a few extra sweet treats.
More gingerbread cookies, as well as our chocolate pecan cookies and chocolate chunk cookies and peanut butter cookies.
Violent Night 2 wrapped up filming in Winnipeg in October 2025 and is scheduled to be out in theaters in December 2026, but Bjornsson doesn't yet know how or if this batch of gingerbread cookies will make another cameo.
And I'm looking forward to the promo posters that come out because we don't know if they'll make it in, so that's what I'm excited to see. And to see the movie too.
Shanley Vidal, CBC News, Winnipeg.
So good.
Winnipeg's Fort White Alive is being recognized with an International Sustainable Design Award. The Buffalo Crossing Paul Albertson Visitor Center has been named one of only 20 global winners in the Ho Chim Foundation Awards. The award is for the project's low-carbon construction and innovative approach to sustainability. 5,000 submissions came from around the world, and Winnipeg's was among only 4 winners from North America.
We are trying to walk the walk. We're trying to show that everyone can make small changes in their life, and if we as a nonprofit in Winnipeg can build the most sustainable building in this province, anyone can do it.
The regional grand prizes for the 5 global regions will be handed out in Venice on November 20th. All right, time for a full check on our Manitoba weather forecast. After a wet day yesterday, some 20 to 35 millimeters of rain in the Red River Valley. Darius Madavi is back. And Darius, are we looking at anything drier coming up?
Well, Riley, if we take a look at the jet stream, really just a cutout over central Canada. We do have a little bit of a dip here, but overall things are looking very calm. We do have a little bit of cloud in more northern parts of the province, but overall for most of Manitoba we have cleared out and we have a couple calm days ahead. We do have a little bit of a disturbance that's going to try and break in. We looked earlier in the show at the moisture that we've seen feeding up into the province, but for the most part it's not going to affect things on the ground too much. High pressure built in over most of central Canada. This little disturbance is going to try and creep in, spreading some showers, even some flurries to parts of Saskatchewan, but most of that not breaking into your province here because it's really going to be deflected down south, and those flurries should taper off before they really start to take hold in Manitoba proper. You'll notice a little bit will graze the border of the province. A little bit might break in to those more southwestern sections of the province, really as we get into late Wednesday and into Thursday. Here we go, overnight Wednesday into Thursday. We see a little bit of that break in, but mostly confined to Saskatchewan, not expecting any high totals or anything like that. In fact, if we do look at our accumulation amounts, we're not seeing anything really in excess of 5 millimeters or so. Yeah, there, 6 millimeters for Swan River. That's pretty much as high as we get. Again, some of that may come as some brief flurries in those overnight hours into the early morning on Thursday, but for the most part, we remain fairly calm, pretty dry in the days ahead. We have had a very wet start to October. I mean, I guess we're pretty much at the end of October now. It's been pretty wet in October so far as a whole, more so than average, but not looking like we're going to have too much more coming through the end of the month. We will have the winds pick up a little bit into the next couple days. First up in the northeast as we get into Wednesday, late Wednesday into Thursday. Then Wednesday night, again into Thursday. Those winds will also pick up for the more southern sections of the province through the Red River Valley. But overall, nothing too crazy. Wind gusts probably not reaching up above 40, maybe 50 kilometers per hour as we head into the end of the week. Temperatures, though, this is going to be a little bit more of a story. We have been quite warm today. As we get into the next couple days, temperatures will start to come down a little bit more. We're not talking a crazy drop, but getting down closer to seasonal. Our lows staying a little bit above seasonal, but our highs dropping down right about to where we'd expect them to be this time of year. We're going to take a look at our 3-day forecast now, but 7 days coming up towards the end of the show. Expect a little bit more cloud to move in, but overall things remain a little bit calm and pretty seasonal. Riley?
Okay, thanks, Darius. All right, we have more to come right after the break. Stay with us. Okay, are you tired? No, a lot of people are. It's now Game 4 of the World Series, with the LA Dodgers now leading the series 2-1. The Toronto Blue Jays are hoping to turn the page after that heartbreaking loss in a marathon 18-inning game. Jamie Strachan has this recap now from Los Angeles.
11:50 in Los Angeles.
As the clock approached midnight, Freddie Freeman did what nobody else was able to do.
High fly to center.
And a game that will be forever remembered.
Game over.
Every pitch means something in the World Series and in the playoffs. So I think we're all emotionally and mentally drained.
For the Dodgers, pure joy after surviving the 6-hour and 39-minute marathon, the second longest game in World Series history. For the Jays, a feeling of what might have been.
This one will sting tonight, don't get me wrong. You wouldn't be human if it didn't.
But no sense that Game 3 will define this series.
The Dodgers didn't win the World Series today. They won a game. You know what I mean? And these guys are going to be ready to go tomorrow.
Nothing like a 14th inning stretch. And that's
this wild game that saw 19 pitchers take the mound and 130 at-bats went on and on and on.
Or how about when he wakes up? Yeah. Been asleep for 9 innings.
And had a little bit of everything. Sparkling defense.
Barger's throw to the plate. Got it! Hit down the line, a fair ball.
Dramatic plays at the plate.
The throw is offline, and he is safe.
And yet another jaw-dropping performance by Japanese legend Shohei Ohtani, who hit a dramatic game-tying home run and reached base 9, that's right, 9 times, a World Series record. Oh, and by the way, he's the Dodgers' starting pitcher in Game 4. That game set to be played here at Dodger Stadium, where temperatures are set to soar over 30 degrees. You would think both teams are exhausted. Not likely, this expert says.
I'd be surprised if the athletes weren't more energized by having gone through this. This is a career-defining game that they experienced last night.
The good news for Jays fans nursing a baseball hangover from last night, a win today evens up the series. Hopefully, it won't take as long. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Los Angeles.
All right, let's bring in someone who was up late watching that game into the night last night. Gavin Axelrod joins us, where people are gathering to watch Game 4 here in Winnipeg. Gavin, looks somewhat exciting in the crowd there.
Yes, Riley, the marathon continues tonight. The Blue Jays are going to play again. It's a bit of a deja vu almost, but
Okay, clearly having some technical issues there. We'll try to get back into that item. We'll join Gavin in just a moment, but watching and cheering for your favorite sports team can come with stress and anxiety. Just ask Jays fans who endured the ups and downs of that epic game last night. Jennifer Yoon visited a group watching the game along with a cardiologist to monitor their vital signs.
And a curveball hit high and deep.
When your team is teetering on the edge of victory, euphoria and despair often come hand in hand.
And the game is tied.
All that suspense has an impact on your body.
That was insane!
This Toronto cardiologist is measuring just how much while watching Game 3 of the World Series.
His heart rate nearly doubled.
Back down.
And there's a good reason why.
Your adrenaline, which is one of your stress hormones, your cortisol, those are going up. Also, your testosterone starts to climb, and those will all have effects on the heart rate and on the blood pressure.
Sports fans of all different stripes appear to feel that stress. One study used heart monitors to track Habs fans as they watched a game. It found those watching had heart rate increases similar to doing a strenuous or moderate workout. Another study tracked heart emergencies in German soccer fans during the World Cup. It found the number of heart attacks more than doubled on game days, especially among men with known coronary heart disease.
We physiologically can't tell the difference between a pitcher-hitter battle for a team that we love and a real threat from our environment.
The scientist thinks there's a psychological effect at play here too.
When we care a lot about our team, we experience something called identity fusion. You feel as if you are part of the game.
How's your heart?
I think it's holding up okay, but the heart rate's definitely increasing.
They're both out?
For most fans, the thrill of the game won't cause serious health issues, but those with underlying heart conditions should watch out for other symptoms like chest pain.
That's not normal, even with excitement.
Still, enjoying the game can be good for you, too.
It's going to spike your dopamine if your team wins. It's going to bring you closer in terms of your social connection to your friends.
And worth the emotional roller coaster. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, we're going to go back to Gavin Axelrod. Live television, these things happen. Gavin, the excitement. We're talking about the excitement that's happening where you are tonight.
Yes, Riley, it's very exciting here right now. People are filing in, and as you can see behind me, people are grabbing food. There's a watch party here tonight for Gold Eyes ticket holders at the Viscount Court. They took a little bit of a straw poll earlier to ask who was courageous enough to stay up for yesterday's game, and to my surprise, there were a lot of hands, but I don't want to tell on anybody who might have called in sick to work. But before the party got started, we spoke to Gold Eyes General Manager Andrew Collier to talk about how the Blue Jays' excitement is impacting people here in Winnipeg. Andrew, thanks so much for doing this and making the time. Just want to ask us, tell us sort of about what's going to be going on here tonight at the big watch party.
Yeah, tonight's our annual season ticket, mini pack, Sky Suite corporate sponsor World Series party. We've been doing this since 2005, but a little bit more exciting this year with the Blue Jays in the World Series.
We kind of talked about this off camera before, but you were saying the last time the Blue Jays were in the World Series, the Gold Eyes hadn't even existed yet. What's it kind of like to look back on that?
Yeah, it's crazy how long it's been, 32 years since they were in, 93, back-to-back champions, 92, 93, and then the Gold Eyes started in 94.
It seems like this Blue Jays run has really galvanized almost the entire country, but here in Winnipeg, what are you seeing from how the game is sort of reaching maybe new audiences and things like that?
Just based on my personal Instagram feed, there's a lot of people that don't normally post about baseball posting the scores and highlights, and yeah, there's certainly a huge following for the Blue Jays. I think Manitobans, Canadians have taken them on as Canada's team, and it's Canada versus US, Toronto versus LA, and yeah, I think it's awesome.
As someone who's involved in the game, what's it like for you to see that growth of the sport?
I love it. I think the more spotlight that can be placed on baseball, not only is it good for us, but it's good for kids wanting to play the sport. I remember back in 2015, the enrollment by kids getting into baseball rose exponentially because of their run to the ALCS, and I would think this year in the World Series it's going to have even a bigger effect.
I was going to ask you, what do you think the impact of this run will be here in Winnipeg on the local baseball community?
I've been asked that a few times. I think we'll have to wait and see in the spring if it has that carryover effect. We certainly hope it does.
I was going to ask as well, like how much as an organization do you sort of want to latch on to this Blue Jays fever and maybe use it to help sell a few more tickets for the Gold Eyes?
Yeah, anything we can use to grow the sport and grow the interest in Gold Eyes baseball, because we think it's a great brand of baseball, high quality baseball, and hopefully people watching this great World Series will keep that momentum going and come out to the ballpark in May.
So I just want to ask you before you wrap up here, do you have a prediction for how things may go tonight?
I think the Blue Jays are in tough against Ohtani, but if they can get to him early and get to the bullpen, both bullpens are depleted after last night, so I think it's going to be a battle of bullpens if they can get to Ohtani early.
Well, Andrew, thanks so much for joining us. That's Gold Eyes General Manager Andrew Collier, and we'll send it back to you.
All right, thanks, Gavin. So this World Series run is leading to a fresh sizzle of an iconic 40-year-old song. Magda Gabriselase on the colorful history of OK Blue Jays and the taste of the new renditions.
It's that catchy baseball tune that revs up fans in bars,
Okay! Okay! Blue Jays!
in schools,
Let's play ball!
and in the seats at Blue Jays games during the 7th inning stretch. You may know the words, but did you know the tune got its start in 1982?
You got a hat?
Jack Lenz and business partner Tony Kozanek co-wrote commercials, but then they got called up to take a swing at a theme song for the Blue Jays. Thing is,
Neither Tony nor I had ever been to a baseball game. Sports was not our thing. So we were definitely music nerds.
but they were up for the challenge. Before coming up with a game plan, then Blue Jays executive Paul Beeston gave them a tip.
I remember so clearly him saying, you know, we're only 5 years old. We can't promise too much, so just say they're okay.
The pair tapped into the sights and sounds of baseball.
You got a diamond, you got 9 men.
And within one afternoon, they had their tune. Called to bat as lead singer was Keith Hampshire.
Yeah, it was very catchy, very clever, very clever. Well, when I first heard the track, I thought, this sort of sounds like a Randy Newman song, and I love Randy Newman.
Sold as a record, in 1985, the track went gold, reaching 50,000 sold. The shorter version, chanted at games, continues to delight. It's even getting updates from fans like the Arkells' Max Kermit.
We call him Vladdy. Yes, he's a baddie.
He's not the only one giving the song a new twist.
We'll beat the Dodgers so bad it'll make LA blue.
No doubt Jays fans are hoping that comes true. Magda Gebre-Selassie, CBC.
Overseas tonight, Prime Minister Mark Carney is traveling across Asia this week, where he's trying to diversify Canada's trading partners. But it's Ottawa's strained relationship with our oldest and closest economic ally that's overshadowing talks there and dominating concern here at home. Rafi Boudjikanian has more.
While Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Singapore trying to sell Canada as an ideal trading partner for Southeast Asia, Canada's actual biggest trading partner continues to ignore him. The White House stopped trade talks with Ottawa last week. U.S. President Donald Trump upset over that Ontario TV ad, which shows part of a speech by former President Ronald Reagan criticizing the idea of tariffs. Ontario has since pulled the ad, but Premier Doug Ford has defended it and said Carney should hardly have been surprised by its use.
He saw the ad before I put it out, so did his chief of staff. They both saw it, and we moved forward on it.
Carney and Trump are on parallel pit stops between two major summits in Asia, while Carney is here trying to meet with officials of a private equity firm as well as Singapore's massive port authority to get them to invest more into Canada. Trump is in Japan, where he met the country's new prime minister and signed a framework agreement on rare earths and critical minerals. Canada also had its eye on Tokyo during this trip, but Japan said it could not fit in two state visits right after an election, according to Canadian government officials. However, Canada's ambassador to Japan says that should hardly be interpreted as a snub.
We were at ASEAN for the full 2 days. We're here in Singapore. We're going to APEC. And, we'll have lots of opportunities to do a full, comprehensive bilateral visit to Japan.
Carney heads to South Korea on Wednesday ahead of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit, where Trump is also expected to be in attendance. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Singapore.
Tech giant Amazon says it will cut 14,000 corporate jobs from its operations around the world. The company says it wants to reduce operational layers to limit costs as it increases investments in AI. At the end of last year, Amazon had more than 1.5 million full-time and part-time employees. Out of that total, its corporate workforce was roughly 350,000. Amazon has been carrying out job cuts in its books, devices, and services divisions in recent months. Donald Trump is set to meet with Chinese leader Xi Jinping on the sidelines of the APEC summit Thursday. Many analysts believe the trade and tech war unfolding between the U.S. and China is really about who will control the development of artificial intelligence. And as Chris Brown reports, Taiwan makes the bulk of advanced chips for AI databases. And for the island nation, the stakes couldn't be higher.
This science park south of Taipei is devoted to making some of the most delicate and expensive technology on the planet. The microchips that facilitate artificial intelligence, phones, and almost everything else we use.
Taiwan is the leader of the world's semiconductor industry, and it especially dominates in the manufacture of high-end chips, with one company, TSMC, holding 90% of the global market.
It's an astonishing accomplishment for a small island that most of the world doesn't even recognize as a country. And people here are proud of that success. We don't have to worry too much now that people don't care about us, said 21-year-old college student Amy Lynn. We have wafers, microchips, so we have something to negotiate with others. And Taiwan is flexing its new economic muscles, threatening South Africa with export controls over a diplomatic dispute, and standing up to U.S. demands to move half of its chip-making business there.
You cannot ignore Taiwan anymore.
Analyst Jeremy Chan says advanced chip technology, especially for AI, is very expensive and has taken years for Taiwan's engineers to refine.
So it become very, very efficient. I think only Taiwan can achieve this kind of standard of efficiency.
But China is trying. Min Wu of Macronics, a pioneer of chip production in Taiwan, says he believes with its huge resources, China's industry is catching up.
My guess, they are very close now. They are very close.
Taiwan faces an existential threat, though, from China. which has vowed to reclaim the island by force if necessary. So analysts say for Taiwan's government, the challenge is in deciding how to turn its success with chips into political leverage. Chris Brown, CBC News, Hsinchu, Taiwan.
All right, I want to take you back to Jamaica here. You're looking at a live shot as Hurricane Melissa, now a Category 4, has Cuba and the Bahamas in its sights. Let's get another check on our forecast with Darius Madavian. Darius, you have been keeping a close eye on the storm.
Well, Riley, this is a devastating storm, the second strongest Atlantic hurricane ever recorded, tied for that position by wind speed, reaching up to almost 300 kilometer per hour winds, wind gusts well in excess of 350 kilometers per hour at its peak just before it made landfall in Jamaica, also making this the strongest storm by quite a margin to make landfall in that country. It's continuing to move up towards Cuba now, still as a major hurricane, expected to pass over Cuba and still be a major hurricane as it comes out the other side. Now, that imagery that we just saw was from the International Space Station. This is from satellite. This is earlier today when it was still visible in the visible spectrum, but we saw it move up, hit Jamaica. The eye became a little bit less organized, but the fact that it remained organized for so long after making landfall is a testament to the strength and the organization of this storm as it did move in. Just incredibly strong winds, a lot of rain being dumped in these areas. We're continuing to see that storm track up over the next few days, expected to impact Cuba, the Bahamas, several other areas as it continues to move up. Wind speeds, again, many areas experiencing those hurricane force winds. It's a large storm, so those winds extend far out from the center. Anything in purple there really experiencing those tropical storm force winds, maybe even a little bit outside of that area. And the heavy rain, up to 1 meter of rainfall dropping on places like Jamaica expected. It'll be a while before we get a full sense of the destruction that hit those places, but definitely an impactful storm, one for the record books. Now, let's turn our attention back here to Canada. A little bit of a palate cleanser, as always. Looking at our dog walking forecast for Winnipeg. Thank you to Pauline for sending in this adorable photo of Willow chilling out on a picnic bench. Now, temperatures tomorrow, again, we dip down close to seasonal in the overnight hours, but we warm back up quite a bit above seasonal, up to about 8 degrees by the afternoon. And overall, the whole day seems like a pretty pleasant time to be outside. Watch out for those wind gusts late in the day towards the evening time, but overall, very pleasant. We're close to seasonal we're a little bit above seasonal right now for sure today. But as we get into tomorrow and the rest of the week, things will start to fall back down towards what we'd expect to see. A little bit of cloud tonight, mostly clears out as we head into tomorrow across the province. And overall, calm conditions are expected to take hold by the time we get into tomorrow. Riley?
Okay, thanks, Darius. An incredible fossil find to tell you about. The skeleton of an ancient species of rhinoceros has been discovered in the most unexpected place, Canada's far north. Anand Ram has the details about our country's polar rhino.
A pony in the winter was specifically the wording that I used.
But it's actually a rhino. Yes, an ancient 23-million-year-old distant relative of these animals. Same size as an Indian rhino, but likely furry and with one pointy feature missing.
Modern rhinos have horns, but actually a lot of rhinos in the past did not have horns. In fact, it was closely related to species that lived in Europe.
But how did this newly named species, Epiatheracerium itgiluk, get from Europe to what's now Devon Island in Nunavut?
There was a land bridge connecting basically over from Northern Europe up over to Greenland and into the Arctic islands of Canada. We hypothesized that this animal was either crossing on land or what little water did exist between those islands.
Okay, so here we have a fragment and it's a piece of rib.
The fossils were discovered decades ago and were carefully studied at the Canadian Museum of Nature.
Probably the back of that skull.
The patience of paleontologists, like doing a jigsaw puzzle without the back of the box.
You're looking at other descriptions of skeletons and using that as your guide to figure out where the pieces might go. But on the side, we have a table of scraps that we couldn't figure out where they fit.
But even with 75% of the complete skeleton, these fossils are changing the view on how these animals moved around our planet millions of years ago.
The bridge across the North Atlantic was probably active for upwards of 20 million years longer than what we initially thought it was. And to me, that's pretty interesting and pretty exciting.
Suggesting these polar rhinos followed their hornless noses across continents for the best food. Anand Ram, CBC News, Toronto.
Very interesting. All right, still ahead tonight, we will meet a baseball superfan, also known as the Canadian card guy. We'll show you his collection that spans decades and what he does with all of this memorabilia. We'll have that in our Daily Lift. Stay with us.
Well, overall, what we're looking at is temperatures coming down over the next couple days in Winnipeg and across southern Manitoba. Tomorrow, about 8 degrees, then falling down to 4 over the next few days. as we get into the end of the weekend and early next week, temperatures just hovering around that mark, coming up a couple degrees, falling again. In terms of our lows, those hover around the 0 degree mark, staying just above and then just below throughout the next week or so. Temperatures normal for this time of year. We're talking about 5 degrees as our high, -4 as our low. So we're staying right around there. We do have a few chances of showers over the next few days. Again, that's a very slight chance that a little bit of those showers grazing the southeastern part of Manitoba make their way to Winnipeg on Thursday, but overall, we're more than likely to be dry. And then a relatively pleasant weekend, maybe with a few flurries overnight Saturday into Sunday.
Okay, we'll watch for that. Thank you, Darius. Well, he's known as the Canadian card guy, a Saskatoon man who collects baseball cards and now a go-to source for some players' own cards. Kelly Provost has our daily lift.
Some of the cards I've acquired.
Of Kelly Sage's 50,000 baseball cards, these are his favorites. Autographed cards and baseballs of retired major leaguers from Canada. At least 30,000 of his cards are of Canadians. Sage began collecting cards when he was 5, and he remembers opening a pack and discovering a handful of Canadian players.
And it got me to thinking, how many Canadians have played
Eric
at this level? And that's where I started from, is collecting the Canadian-born players.
Sage says roughly 260 Canadians have played in the big leagues. Not all had baseball cards made for them, but Sage has found cards for 190 of them. He likes to approach retired players for autographs, and what he's learned is that many don't have their own cards.
We have to hit the ball.
When Sage gave his contact information to retired pitcher Denny Boucher, other retired players started reaching out to him.
I was getting emails from guys saying, hey, do you have any of my cards? So I don't know if it was old-timers games or team reunions or how it transpired, but that was kind of like my first exposure to players coming to me.
Sage says one day he plans to donate his collection to the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. Kelly Probo, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Very cool. And just think of all the memories there. That is our program for this Tuesday. Thank you for being with us. Brittany's back with us again tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening.